With all the press coverage about Jack Smith's recent filing in the D.C. election interference case, there's something that a lot of people have missed that could be really important. It involves Donald Trump, a burner phone, and the country of Egypt. Let's discuss. I'm Dave Aronberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County, a.k.a. the Florida Lawman, here on the MeidasTouch Network. So we all know about the D.C. election interference case against Donald Trump, the one that was put on hold by the U.S. Supreme Court, which put its thumb on the scale. We know that Judge Chutkan wants it to move forward, and that Jack Smith and Trump have been going at it when it comes to the disclosure of Trump's involvement before, during, and after January 6th. What can be disclosed before the election in documents, a lot of them redacted, that involve Trump's unofficial acts that will be charged and prosecuted because the Supreme Court said you only get immunity for core constitutional functions and you get a presumption of immunity for official acts. So this whole thing has been in litigation. But there's one thing that has escaped the attention of a lot of people that I think is really important, and we should discuss it here on the MeidasTouch Network, and that is, in Jack Smith's recent filing, he made it clear that Donald Trump used a burner phone that was routed through Egypt to contact the House Speaker of Michigan. Now, if Donald Trump was just talking about legitimate stuff, when he was making his phone calls, nothing to hide here, nothing to see here, then why was he using a burner phone that came across the speaker's phone as Spam Risk Egypt? That's what it said, Spam Risk Egypt. And I assure you, it was no telemarketer. So if this was an official act, if this was something that Trump did in the context of being president, making sure elections are secure and safe, then why not go through the White House? Why not go through the official switchboard? Why not go through anything but a burner phone that is routed through Egypt? Right? It doesn't make sense. Now, the Trump defense may be, well, this is all garbage. This is what Jack Smith is alleging. This is not really what happened. Well, the defense team had a chance to dispute the allegation from Jack Smith, and they didn't, because it's true. Trump's legal team did not dispute the authenticity of anything in Jack Smith's recent unsealed filing. And so we know now it's true. And if he used a burner phone in this conversation with the Speaker of the House to try to overturn the election from Michigan, what else did he use that burner phone for? And whom did he use it with when he was communicating with these individuals? It's not like Donald Trump goes to the local drugstore and buys his own burner phone to use in this conversation. Obviously, someone is involved with it in addition to Donald Trump, someone who knows where the bodies are buried. There had to be witnesses. And now we have got something here that can prove pretty clearly that this was not an official act. I know in itself, calling local governments about an election, that's not a presidential duty, because after all, the Constitution says that when you have elections, they're run by the states. They're not run by the federal government. Even federal elections are run by the states. But Trump will be able to say and try to get to the Supreme Court that, well, I was just concerned about the sanctity of our elections. Okay, why'd you use the burner phone? And how many other times have you used it? As part of Jack Smith's filing, he included a deposition transcript with the then majority leader in Michigan, a Republican high up in the legislature, someone who was talking with the Speaker of the House in Michigan, someone who also was getting phone calls from Donald Trump about trying to overturn the election. And here's how the transcript went. Question, tell me what, if you know. Well, did you call the president or did he call you? Answer, he called me. Question, what was the purpose of that phone call? Answer, he invited me to join the Speaker of the House and visit the Oval Office a couple of days later? Question. Prior to receiving the call from the president, had you been alerted to the fact that he might be calling to invite you to the White House? Answer. Yes. Question. How did you learn of that? Answer. The Speaker of the House told me that I might be getting a call from the President of the United States and advised me that my display on my phone would say, Spam Risk Egypt. That was my notification for the fact that that might be him. Question. Was the Speaker of the House at the time redacted? Answer. Correct. Question. So you said you received the call on the evening of November 18th. Did your phone indicate that it was a call coming in from Egypt? Answer. It did. Question. Did he ask you anything about the 2020 election in that phone call on the 18th? Answer. Yeah. He mentioned his concerns about the election and questioned whether or not we were doing about it. And I mentioned to him that we were indeed looking into some of the allegations that had been made. Question. So the call was approximately 2 weeks after the election. Were you aware at that time of allegations of election fraud being raised in Michigan? Answer. I was aware of a lot of allegations being made about election fraud across the state and nation. Question. Had you taken any steps as majority leader to have any of those claims investigated by anyone? A lot of the pleading was redacted by Jack Smith, but this deposition transcript apparently involves the majority leader, the Republican Senate majority leader, a guy named Mike Shirkey, and they're referring to the Speaker of the House, a guy named Lee Chatfield. They were both being courted by Donald Trump to overturn the election. Remember, Trump invited them to the White House. He tried to charm them, and they both held firm. In fact, according to CNN back at the time, back in 2020, on September 24th, Shirkey led the Senate to pass a resolution assuring that electors vote for the candidate with the most votes that gets certified by election officials. Quote, the Michigan Senate commits to the selection of electors to the Electoral College that will be faithful to voting for the candidate with the most votes for president. Michigan is certified by Michigan election officials, the resolution read. There was concern, you remember, after Trump's charm initiative that the Michigan Republican leaders would try to overturn the will of the people. And although they listened to Trump, they did not budge. So as if there wasn't enough evidence to show that Donald Trump's activities before, during, and after January 6th were indeed unofficial acts, here's a transcript under oath by a Republican leader in Michigan to say, yeah, I got a call. The speaker got a call. It's from a burner phone, Spam Risk Egypt. And there you go. So this whole thing is just yet more evidence to show that if Donald Trump loses this election in November, then he's going to stand trial in Washington, D.C. And his actions are going to be found to be unofficial. And the Supreme Court is not going to be able to do much about it because they set forth the criteria. They left it up to Judge Shutkin to determine what's official, what is unofficial, and what gets the presumption of immunity. And this is getting pretty clear that if you are the president who is acting as an office seeker, not as an office holder, then you're acting in your unofficial capacity. And even if you are the president, you have no business getting involved in elections. But here, clearly, if he was acting in his official capacity, he wouldn't be using a phone that said, Spam Risk Egypt. Drop the mic. That's another reason why this is the most important election of our lifetimes, because it's a question of whether there'll be justice in this case, whether you have an individual who is above the law. Might is mighty. It's up to all of us. Not the polls, not the pundits. It's up to the voters. So thank you for watching. I'm Dave Aronberg, a.k.a. the Florida Lawman, here on the MeidasTouch Network. If you like this video, please like, leave a comment below, and share with a friend. Also, check out our sister channel, True Crime MTN, where we discuss the hottest true crime cases, including the recent verdict in the Sarah Boone suitcase killer case, where she was found guilty of second-degree murder for zippering up her boyfriend in a suitcase and then leaving him there to die. taunting him all along the way. Yes, it's that crazy of a case, and yes, it did occur in Florida.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.